One of the simplest mods for the new Toyota Tacoma. And what about those cold air intakes? Well, good afternoon everybody, and welcome back to RobMotive. Today I've got what is a really pretty darn simple mod, more like an accessory, an aesthetic touch that I'm going to add to the new, this is a 2025 Toyota Tacoma. And by the way, this will fit, if you have one from say a 2020 and up, it will fit because this originally was on my 2020 Tacoma and it still fits. We'll get to that in just a minute, but let's talk about cold air intakes or hot air intakes, maybe warm air intakes. You know, there's a big controversy going on about those out on the web. I see lots of comments, people saying that if you put a different intake in the truck, one that's sealed or sucks air in from other than what the OEM does, that it's not a real cold air intake. Well, let's take a look. What is the intake on this truck to begin with? First of all, it's right here, right? This is where your filter is. This is how the engine breathes. This is where the air comes in. And by the way, Toyota did do away with the air that used to come in through the fender. You can see the hole down there, right down here. I'll put the light back on it. You can see the hole in the fender. That's where the old third gens used to pull their air in, right? They're connected right in here. I think there was a gasket of some sort there, a big grommet, and it would pull air in from the side that would enter, I guess, through the fender. Notice now, looking at the side of this intake, there is no hole there. It doesn't suck anything in. I'm not exactly sure why Toyota left the hole in the fender there at all. Maybe it's because they're looking at their own intakes, like the TRD intake, or intakes that come on other trucks. Just kind of strange to me that they left that hole down there. Certainly there must be a reason for it. I guess it could bring some cold air into the engine or outside air. But taking a look at how air does come into this truck, as I mentioned, it comes in here. And it's fed through these little grill or this little grate work, whatever you want to call it, these slots that are in the front, where air then enters from right here. Now, one might assume, you know what happens when you do that the air is somehow being fed in from the front through some sort of a hole here. There is no hole there. You can see it's solid, nothing there. So we go further down, and right there you can see it's solid as well, looking around both of these edges, and that's where air would come up and end. We have to go over here before we get to any open slots. And really, it only starts about right down here, right? So there is air that would enter. But, and I don't know if you can see it or not, there is, or are, louvers that open and close behind the grill work. Now, when that happens, it's going to shut off all air that normally would be coming in through these slots into the truck. So that means then that the truck is going to be pulling in air from right here, sealed off from the front. And you know that when you run the truck, of course it gets hot here, right? And any air that it's going to pull in is going to be pretty warm, the same as what you would get with an aftermarket cold air intake. So is there really a big problem in doing that, in putting in an aftermarket intake? Given the way that this truck is set up currently, I would say not. I don't know why there would be any problem when the way it runs normally is not pulling in really cold air or air from the outside. So the big argument that somehow putting in an aftermarket cold air intake, and I would agree, it's not really a cold air intake. The aftermarkets really are warm air intakes, but so is the OEM version. Is it a big deal? No, I don't believe so. I've installed many intakes in different Tacomas that I've had, and I've never had any issues. I will say recently I had someone accuse me of not plugging in the map sensor right here, the sensor that you plug in that measures the air and all that good stuff coming into the truck. I always did. I never left this off. If I had, I would have had check engine lights on the screen inside. And I've never had a check engine light from doing a cold air intake. It's always been spot on, perfect. So in the end, if you want a cold air intake, I would add one. The only real benefit that I see from adding them is maybe if you can get a little bit of extra sound from under the hood. That's it. I know all of the manufacturers or vendors out there are going to state that you're going to get more acceleration, you're going to get more horsepower, but it's such a low number that the only way you're going to know if you have more horsepower or more acceleration is by putting it on a dyno, because it's so low you can't feel it. So forget about that. While it may be true on a sensitive machine, it's not going to be something that you or I are really going to notice. So it's really just for aesthetics and for sound. Now, let's get to this very simple accessory or mod, whatever you want to call it, that I'm going to add to the truck. Okay, what we've got here, and I don't know if you guys can read this, I'll try to put it closer. I don't know if it'll focus or not, but there's the part number. This is a TRD oil cap with sticker. So let's take a look. Again, I've used this on many different Tacomas. This is what it looks like. It is a chrome color, typically the bane of anything for me. However, I do believe that chrome belongs under the hood. There's a lot of chrome or silver parts in here. I mean, the engine itself is silver in color. We have some piping and things, so it fits well under here. Now, one thing I want to caution you about, if you happen to get one of these, it does come with the sticker unattached, and there's a reason for that. Do not put the sticker on until you install and tighten down the new cap. Because if you're like me, you want the sticker to be facing forward like this, right? Not like this, or you know, maybe even towards the back of the truck. It's going to be interesting to see how this one ends up placement-wise, because obviously the sticker's already on since I've used it before, and I'm not going to peel it off because you ruin it when you do that. So, again, one of the simplest things you can do, and this is a mod anybody can do, right? Let's go ahead and pull the existing, wow, that thing's on there. Pull the existing cap off of here. I'm always curious to see too, is there any oil on it? It looks like there's oil on it, but it might just be shiny. I don't know. Yeah, there actually is. So there is a little bit of oil on the existing cap. So it does flow through there. And by the way, it does call for 0W20 oil, in case you're curious. Just set that aside. Now, I'm curious to see, are we going to end up the right direction? Somehow, I doubt it, but we'll find out. Let's go ahead, tighten this down. It's going to be even worse than, it's going to be worst case. Look at that. Look where it's pointing. It's pointing over here to the side. Not bad if you're standing on the side of the truck, I suppose. Not really a big issue, but nonetheless, you can see why you should never put the sticker on until you have it set in place. It was a little different. I had it on my 2024, and it actually lined up more like this as opposed to back there. It's almost exactly like I talked about in the beginning and pointing at the back of the truck. Whatever, I can live with it. It's not a big deal. I suppose if it really bothered you, you could try to gently take that sticker off and then maybe add some adhesive or something and stick it back on so it's the right way. Who knows? Again, it's not really a big problem for me. Just a little something to kind of dress up, I guess, the engine bay a little bit. You know, it's the small touches sometimes that matter, right? Doesn't that look cool? And it even has the red TRD on it. I like that. Anyway, I just wanted to get on, kind of talk about the cold air intakes a little bit. I'm getting a lot of chatter on the channel and my Facebook group about that. If you haven't joined the group yet, check that out. It's called 4th Generation Toyota Tacoma Owners Group on Facebook. There will be a link down below in the description if you want to go over there. That's growing like mad. A lot of good people over there. I highly recommend, if you're interested in the Tacomas, to check it out. And it doesn't cost you anything. It's free. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think of my very simple mod and cold air intakes in general. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.